Welcome to B-School Disrupt. I'm Lori Rosenkopf, Vice Dean of Entrepreneurship at the Wharton School. Thank you all for joining us virtually for the 5th annual B-School Disrupt event. We're thrilled to welcome and connect alumni and friends from the entrepreneurial communities at Wharton, Stanford GSB, and Berkeley Haas. Today's program features short pitches from alumni teams who are working on innovative ventures informed or inspired by the post-pandemic return to work. Each of these ventures reflect and address DEI issues, underscoring how diverse sets of experiences, perspectives, and backgrounds are critical for innovation. Our 6 teams will receive feedback from a guest panel of alumni experts who have been kind enough to join us today. Please join me in welcoming Wharton alum John Auerbach, General Partner at CRV, Berkeley Haas alum Sheila Vashi, Partner at Basis Set, and Stanford GSB alum Will Bumpus, Venture Partner at Concrete Rose Capital. Let's also welcome our MCs, Kara Hanlon, Acting Co-Director of Alumni Relations at Stanford, Adiba Fazil, Senior Program Manager at the Berkeley Haas Entrepreneurship Program, and Irina Yen, the Director of Venture Lab. At the end of the event, a special virtual networking session will be held via Zoom breakout rooms, where you'll be able to interact virtually with our 6 ventures. We'll share further instructions towards the end of the event. You can learn more about the ventures you'll see today in the e-program that was shared in your event reminder email. There, you'll find personal and company contact information, along with venture descriptions. For the best viewing experience, we encourage you to view today's event in speaker view. Finally, I want to thank the rest of our Wharton events team, Allison Grant, Ali Kranzler, and Sarah Rodriguez. I know everyone will enjoy this event. Over to you, Irina.
Great, thanks, Lori. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to be with you today. Just as a reminder, the audience, for all of you in the audience, that the teams will have 3 minutes to pitch and up to 7 minutes for Q&A. So with that, let's kick off the program. We're going to start off with Hair Intelligence, the Wharton alumni team. I'll send it over to you, Isukin. Good luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm Iso, founder and CEO of Hair Intelligence, the first ever computer vision powered custom hair products for women. Hair wigs and extensions are in a $6 billion market experiencing significant fragmentation. The top 10 players account for 27% of the market, and 8 of those players have a share of 3% or less. For Black women, hair is a huge part of our identity. We grow up and learn about the hundreds of ways to style and care for our hair, but that versatility comes with the dark side that's often fueled by the pressure to conform with mainstream beauty standards. So you're talking applying heat and chemical relaxers as common hair care routines to achieve the status quo, but the process causes breakage, hair thinning, and even hair loss, which is a primary reason why hair wigs and extensions have surfaced as a safer alternative. Unfortunately, purchasing, customizing, and installing these products is a customer journey filled with friction. First, you have to decide where to purchase from thousands of available retailers, marketplaces, or stylists. Then you have to choose the features of your wig, like cap size and texture, selecting between up to 12,000 combinations, each with different implications for use, durability, and fit. So you're thinking, great, I finally know where and what to purchase. Now you have to figure out how to put the wig on, spending hours on YouTube or spending hundreds of dollars and waiting 2 to 4 weeks for professional help. It's 2021, trucks are driving themselves, and Black women still have to choose from thousands of inconvenient, suboptimal options when it comes to their hair. Hair Intelligence solves this problem by reducing thousands of variables into a simple guided purchasing experience that finally gives users confidence. Our computer vision technology automatically fits each individual user to their correct cap size and hairline dimensions, allowing them to customize their hairstyle, all from the comfort of our home. Our technology fuels also our supply chain. We've standardized the customization and styling process to guarantee expectation equals reality, developed digital tools for our stylists, and begun automating the entire manufacturing process. And it's really the strength of our team that makes it all possible. Ifweka and Marlise, our CTO and COO, are both CS PhD candidates at MIT with experience building products for Google, IBM, Waymo, and NASA. Simone Kendall, our CMO, is a successful social media influencer with experience in owning and operating her own hair company. And Tristan Walker of Walker and Company Brands joins our team as an advisor. And so our business model really begins by selling customized wigs and extensions direct to consumer. And our technology will allow us to scale into B2B in the future. And so as we think, our defensible position is both our AI and our integrated supply chain strategy. While competitors offer a fragmenting purchasing experience, we learn and grow with our customers across the entire product lifecycle, streamlining the experience and then creating the best customized wigs on the market. And so in just 6 months, we built the infrastructure for a scalable business, including the MVP of our software, our tech-enabled production process, and validated positive unit economics. And in October, we are going to launch the MVP of the entire customer experience. So please head over to hairintelligence.com and join our waitlist to stay up to date on what's coming next. But with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks, Iso. I'll turn it over to the judges. We'll start with John.
Thanks. So that was a fabulous presentation. As you can see, I am a great lover of hair and I pay a lot of close attention. Maybe you could just help by explaining what kind of customer studies. I mean, it all makes a lot of logical sense, but what gives you confidence that when the AI engine is launched, that people will hop into this?
Yeah, so we've actually conducted 2 beta tests for the entire customer experience. We started with just 18 customers, first giving them an MVP version of our application to test both specifically the sizing portions of our application and that we can actually capture their skin tone color to actually create the products on the back end. So what we found as we had people go through that initial experience is that we were actually providing people with too much choice. And it really highlights, again, a big pain point in the industry with not understanding what to choose and how to choose it. And so from that test, what we found was we needed to truly just refine the experience to be able to provide them with the information without them having to have any inputs, which is why you see our computer vision technology capture those automatically, and then provide them with a selection of options for customization that they're very used to, like what color should my hair be? Or what texture should it be? What length should it be? So consolidating those decision points for our customers during those tests, we found that we actually had a higher purchase conversion. And so when I say by purchase conversion, I mean a higher likelihood and willingness to pay for our products at our price point.
Will and Sheila?
I love that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Will. Were you going to?
Yeah, after you.
I love this idea. I think that personalization and the ability to kind of customize products has existed in cosmetics, but not yet for hair. And so I love this idea. Can you talk a little bit more about how you see lifetime value for your customers over time and how that impacts your unit economics?
Yes, absolutely. So right now we know that on average, women make 3 large hair purchases a year, often spending between $600 and $1,200 on each of those individual purchases. And so because of that, what we found is that there's a much higher likelihood of retention because you are going to need to go back to a retailer who fully understands what that life cycle for all of those specific purchases are, right? So for example, you may purchase a wig in the fall because it's no longer hot. You want to be able to have styles that are easily removable, but still work with your daily life. And so what we found that by creating this experience that really understands the inputs and experiences of our customers, we really do have a much higher retention than what the industry does right now. Right now, 75% of Black women say they are open to trying new wig brands. And that's just because there's a ton of copycats on the market who don't truly serve their needs end to end. So right now, with our average order value of about $700 for a unit, we find that if we can capture at least 66.7% of that entire purchase life cycle, we'll be able to have a much higher retention value of about 16 to 1.
That's impressive. Thank you.
And definitely agree with Sheila on sort of like how game-changing this is. And I'm curious about on that customer journey, it seems like the sourcing side and the choosing side is pretty evident. How else are you interfacing in all the different parts? Like, is there an install component that you can help with and the quality component on the sourcing side? Can you talk more about those different areas?
Yeah, so it starts with pre-purchase, right? The educational component that I talk so much about, it's infused into the actual technical experience, and we provide educational information right now via email. And so once you've purchased, we also offer virtual consultations for two different things. The first one is to, again, understand, are you actually picking the right items? Do you need help selecting an item for a specific use case? And the second is post-purchase, which allows you to actually speak with the stylist over video to ask any questions about installation, usage, and maintenance. And so after installation, we do provide a stream of education that allows you to understand how do you actually care for your unit to prolong the longevity of the wig itself. And then by providing all of that information, because we know the life cycle right now of wigs are between 3 to 6 months, we are creating an experience where they will want to come back to us because we've been infused into the entire life cycle of that product, which is much longer than purchasing, installing, and forgetting the customer after you've sent them the product, like most retailers.
Do we have time for me to ask one more question?
Yep, we have a couple of minutes. Sheila, go ahead.
How do you think about distribution? Is it going to be primarily direct to consumer through your site? And how does that change the behavior that exists today with this customer?
Yeah, right now, direct to consumer is a specific strategy. We know that there is just so much lack of trust in this industry. You need a brand awareness to be able to convince B2B retailers to see that this is actually a service that customers need. And so right now, because customers don't have any other options, they don't care, right? We're still going to purchase the units because we need them. And we go on YouTube and find stylists to figure out how to do it on the back end, right? So by proving demand through the D2C business, what we can do is actually create APIs and that allows other retailers to plug into our technology to be able to customize wigs for everyone. And so our goal really is to have every eligible wig wearer in a Hairtelligence product. And we understand that DTC may not get us there. And so the DTC brand gives other retailers confidence that our technology and the customer experience is what we say it is and provides the value with retention that a lot of these retailers are looking for. We actually have an engagement letter with True Glory Hair, which is a wig company who's very interested in being our first B2B beta testing environment to really see how customers respond to the product itself, as well as fully understand what are the technical components for that integration that we need to be able to scale this past just a single retailer. And then on the supply chain side, I mentioned we own our manufacturing process because customization is traditionally a one-to-one stylist experience. So we've standardized this process and infused technology to allow unskilled labor to participate in the process, which allows us to scan our production capabilities that frankly no other manufacturer can do today, which will allow us to also scale into the B2B market to be able to serve the 22 million US Black women in America who wear wigs and extensions.
That's great. I think we're at time. Thanks so much, Isa. This is an exciting market and exciting of all the progress that you've made. So we look forward to keeping an eye on you in the future. And again, as a reminder, folks can join us in the networking portion to ask Isa any more questions and learn more about what's going on in that space. Thank you. Now we're going to tee up the next team. We will be presenting Window, a Stanford alumni team. Take it away, Window.
Here we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Oladoyin, and I am the founder of Window. Window is a customized search engine for faster, easier, and more personalized apparel shopping. Our goal is to make the process of buying clothes online feel efficient and effortless. The problem that we're solving is one that most people are very familiar with, and that is the fragmented and tedious nature of online fashion shopping. Consumers are overwhelmed with options and they experience fatigue with the time consumption that it takes when you're trying to buy those clothes. So we created Window, a customized search engine for apparel shopping. The way Window works is that it pulls your search requests from each of your selected websites for you, and then using your style, your size, your budget, and a host of other key preferences, it filters out everything that is not relevant to you, returning a streamlined and curated set of results. Finally, using machine learning and data science, it ranks everything that's left in order of relevance to you so that you can shop in a way that is efficient and delightful. Our goal is to make a process that is usually 2 hours and very frustrating be done in three steps in 20 minutes, thereby reducing the fatigue and the overwhelm of the process. Window is different because it is hyper filtered and hyper customized to you. In a consumer landscape where everything from my Netflix dashboard to my Spotify playlist is personalized to me, it was very striking that the fashion shopping process was lacking on this regard. And so we're bringing automation and personalization to the process of buying clothes online. And this is the perfect time. Aside from the personalization going on in the consumer landscape, at this time, emerging out of the pandemic, we've been accelerated 10 years in consumer and digital penetration, which means a lot more people are shopping online and a lot of new shoppers have come on after the pandemic. And so we think that Window is going to be the perfect solution both for new shoppers emerging from offline to online, and for those who have been already spending years shopping online, frustrated by the process. A little bit about me. I am a two-time founder and a 2020 graduate of the Stanford Graduate School of Business. Before Stanford, I was a creative producer at Snapchat. And the idea for Window came to me after I used my experience at Snapchat to really learn what it is like to build digital experiences that are intuitive and seamless to each customer. And at Snapchat, I started interviewing dozens of women to really realize that it wasn't only me that was experiencing the frustrations with shopping online. We conducted beta tests, raising angel funding and pre-seed capital at the end of last year, beginning of this year, with over 250 women to test our personalization and automation technology, and to make sure that the product that we're building is not only personal to each user, but enjoyable and efficient.
Okay, we're at time, Oladine. We're going to move toward the Q&A. We'll kick that off, and we'll start with Sheila.
Great job. I like the space a lot. And I agree that there have been big shifts in the way people shop, especially because of COVID. I do think though, like the kind of shopping space does have a lot of dead bodies in it, even going back to like Shop It To Me like 10 years ago and others that have kind of come up since. I'm curious, how, number one, like how do you think about customer acquisition? And how will you get people onto a new platform, even with a better experience? That can still be really tough.
Yeah. So we're going about it in a couple of different approaches. First, there is the landscape of social media, right? There are the usual paid social tests, and we've done a number of campaigns where we're testing how much a customer acquisition cost is to acquire customers through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. But we're actually more excited about organic social. We've seen that we can create content on social media around the pain points of what we're trying to solve, and get a lot of consumers signing up to test our beta just because that pain point resonates so much. So right now there's a running motif on TikTok about how horrible the Zara website shopping experience is.
Why is it so bad? It's so bad.
We love the Zara clothes. We hate the Zara website. Sorry if there's anyone who works at Zara. That's the truth. And so by making organic content around the pain point in and of itself, we're able to get users to come onto the landing page, sign up to test the beta, because everyone resonates with this problem. It's our job to make a solution that keeps them coming back around the second time. But we're also combining that with sort of grassroots marketing outreach. So we have contacts at over 250 undergraduate institutions focused on fashion and women. And we have a growth marketing team that is working to organically reach out to students who are part of that organization, because we know that with consumer applications, it's about virality. So you build something that can be buttressed by paid social and organic social, but it has to be so good that the person who uses it tells the next person and the next person. And so we're trying to orchestrate that a little bit by doing our own outreach within specific communities that we know will feel this target pain point the most.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, one, and thanks for sharing. And it looks beautiful, by the way, that in terms of the design and discoverability. And I guess that's part of the question that I have is like when you can go and find something, so targeted and personalized for you, you kind of lose out on that oh, sort of like window shopping type thing. So how do you have like a way to recommend maybe some things for other brands would want the consumer to know? And honestly, is that an actual challenge that you're seeing, or is that just the more noise that you talked about?
No, absolutely. There are 7 key user journeys that our product is going to encompass, and shopping for something specific is only one of them, but it's the one that we're starting with because we know that it's the one that's the most frustrating and is the one that takes the most time. But the fascinating thing about Window is that as you are shopping and as we're learning more about you, we can actually share new brands and new products for you to discover. So, for example, if I know you like Zara, and so even though you didn't ask me to pull Reformation dresses for you, I can, in a separate tab as part of the user experience, say, hey, check out these new dresses, also curated to your taste, but still in a streamlined and not overwhelming user experience. So we're encompassing that as part of 6 other user journeys as well.
John?
I'm 2 for 2 today. The first presentation, I have no hair, and second, I have no fashion sense, clearly. Just one question. What you didn't mention much, or I didn't hear much about fit and sizing.
Mhm.
How much is that incorporated into the engine?
In the beta, it's not incorporated outside of the mapping that we do to the size chart with the size charts that are on these websites. So since we're building it as a search engine, we scrape all of the data that's publicly available, including the size charts. So we can map the size charts of a specific dress to your sizing, but outside of what would be regularly available if you were shopping manually, we don't offer additional sizing matching just yet. But the cool part about aligning this with the user journey is we're trying to serve primarily women right now in the places where they already shop. So if I am a Zara customer, just to keep with that example, chances are I already know my Zara sizes because I've been shopping there for a long time. And so as we're building the consumer base with the beta and the version 1, we're really focusing on customers that already know the places that they like to shop. They already have this routine. We're just giving them a technology solution to make that process more efficient. And definitely as we scale and go beyond and start recommending them new brands, we want to be able to use technology to enhance the experience that solves other problems, including fit, but that is not a part of the beta. You're correct.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Give a couple minutes. Any questions?
I guess one other thing then would be about gifting, for a John who wants to go on and find the right thing for someone else. Is that a possible thing too, or?
It's technically possible. So the way the personalization works is you do an onboarding. It's similar to Stitch Fix, right? Except we do it for online websites. And so you do an onboarding in which we learn your style and we ask you a couple of questions. We assign you a profile. So we could, if that was something that we discovered that customers want, use it in a way that you can pivot and take the test to match for the person that you're looking for. But right now we're focusing on that one-on-one personalization for each user.
Got it.
How do you think about monetization? Will you be charging the retailers, or will there be, I would love to better understand that.
Yeah, so monetization is in 3 tiers. The primary one is advertising. We actually think that part of the reason why some of these fashion companies have not been scalable in the past is because there is an adverse incentive for me to partner with brands and take money every time a consumer buys something, thereby forcing me to show the consumer more and more clothes just so that I can make money, which is actually the opposite of what we're trying to do for consumers. Our goal is to show them as few quality clothes as possible. And we also know that consumer behavior when it comes to shopping only results in checkout less than 50% of the time. And so building a business model in which we monetize as soon as you come on the website, time spent on the platform and the amount of eyes we get on the platform in a given week is more profitable and more viable for what we're building. The second is premium subscription. So we have a number of turbo users, and this idea came to us from our beta users. It's about 10 to 20% of shoppers who shop so much that they said they'd be willing to pay a premium subscription for extra features, unlimited filters, one-on-one return concierge, et cetera. And we did willingness to pay tests that came out from $10 to $15 to $25 for about 3 dozen people who were willing to pay for that premium service. And then the third tier would be the commission at scale. So after we've gotten enough traction in which we wouldn't be too dependent on a model where we're getting ever decreasing margin on fashion retail, then we would institute partnerships in which we can take some sort of cut for the average order volume that comes through the website. But we're focused on the former two.
Okay, great, and we're at time.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, great job, Oladine, and then Hair Intelligence, and also for Window. And I'm going to turn it over now to Adiba Fazil from Berkeley Haas.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Adiba Fazil from Berkeley Haas, and I'll be introducing the next two teams. So the next presenter is Yinka Omoliri from Seren, and they are a Berkeley Haas MBA class of 2021.
Great, thank you. Having some slight issues, but should be fine. So serendipity can change the world. There was a young boy who dreamed of making a difference in his country, and he wanted to work on impactful projects, but it was impossible for him until he bumped into someone and had an unexpected meeting. As a result of that meeting, he worked with the Gates Foundation on a project to help 40 million people and targeting 1 billion in investment impact. This is also my story. So I was that boy who wanted impact. When I was 17 years old, I finished my computer science degree in Nigeria, and I worked in enterprise SaaS at Cisco. Now, hybrid work is here to stay. Millions of us want to work from home at least 2 or 3 days per week. However, one of the biggest challenges people are facing is that serendipity and water cooler charts are gone in this context. It's impossible to overhear a conversation among coworkers and decide you want to join in. The first immediate problem is people are feeling a lot lonelier. And so a huge amount of Gen Z workers are having a very hard time forming meaningful connection, and they're even thinking about quitting their jobs. The second major issue is that innovation is threatened. Microsoft surveyed billions of interactions and saw that people's networks for connecting have shrunk. And as a result, innovation is getting harder within companies. Many companies are trying to solve this problem, whether it's big tech or startups, but the approaches so far are limited. The first one is most of us want more than a random connection with someone once in 2 weeks. And serendipity should not be something you plan or schedule ahead of time. The third key point is that enterprise users are largely ignored by the solutions that are being developed. What Seren does is Seren provides workers with spontaneous and meaningful conversations in real time powered by artificial intelligence. It works with the tools that enterprise users already adopt and provides tailored matches using artificial intelligence. How it works. Seren connects to tools like Slack or WebEx and also connects people's calendars. We learn about who workers want to connect with, the topics they like, and even the roles they want to be matched with. The third step is we're able to connect people into real-time calls with their coworkers based on their interests and what they've asked for. And the final step is we learn from that conversation so we can give them a better one next time around. As of right now, we're raising 500K for our pre-seed, and I'm happy to be going full-time on Seren as of next week. Our core goals are launch our MVP and do pilots with startups and enterprise, and also expand our engineering team and work on meeting standards for handling corporate data. The future of work that we imagine is one where people can form and maintain authentic human relationships wherever they're based, and we want to be able to solve this problem at scale. Imagine a world where a worker is able to locate someone else halfway across the world working on the exact same topic as them. That's what we imagine. Our business model is B2B, and our target market will be product managers and entry-level engineers. We found through hundreds of interviews that they have the highest pinpoint for a solution like this. Thank you.
Thank you. We're out of time now, and we're going to move on to the judges. So first up, we have Sheila.
Nice job. Can you talk a little bit about how you're thinking about go-to-market? So for your B2B clients, how will they find you? Will it be a tops-down sale, or are you thinking more bottoms-up?
I'm actually thinking both. And so because we're going to be listing on app stores like Teams or WebEx or Microsoft, people will be able to install the apps themselves if their company lets them do that. But at the same time, we'll also have like targeted outreach to like companies to, so we'll be both. We'll do both bottom up, but people can install themselves, but also do some targeted focused top-down approaches. Yeah.
In the sales process, or I guess after it's launched, like what are some of the metrics that you're going to want to point to show that it's working? Like what are the PMs going to say that will really resonate with other customers and like their existing within their company?
So one of the biggest things now is people know that they're not having many non-work interactions with their coworkers. So being able to say and measure before Seren, you had maybe 1 chat per week, and now you're having 5 per day, or just that initial, I think, improvement in the network is the initial we'll be able to show that people are connecting more and more to our application. Yes. Over time, we want to find better metrics to measure innovation, but that's going to be a little bit hard initially to prove or solve.
Devil's advocate question. What people are zoomed out, people are fatigued of all of this digital interaction. What gives you the confidence that people want more of it? I'm trying to get our whole firm back into the office because we're just finding that people are sick and tired of all sorts of messaging.
So the first thing is for millions of workers, they will continue to be hybrid or even remote permanently. For example, Cisco, that's the first thing. The second thing is that I spoke to someone in sales who said, I want to be able to find someone across my company who works on the exact product I'm working on and can answer me in real time. And so if we can help people form those sort of connections and help you do your job better, and as a PM to influence engineers and not just meet them when you need a new product feature, that makes a massive difference for work. And so it's tying to the immediate work use cases. And finally, it's like, if these are audio, primarily, audio focused calls, they are less stressful than video calls tend to be. So those are the main reasons why I think, as long as we do have hybrid work, this isn't really a problem.
Thank you. Well handled.
And just to confirm, it will be sort of like random events that spot up based on what the employees like. So if there are people who want to talk more about, effective product management, that will just pop up and then people can jump in, or is that how it works?
Sort of, but it will be anything but random. The idea is a blend between familiar coworkers who you want to interact with, you already know you like them, and new people. Sort of like when you work in the kitchen, you'll see some people you know, some you don't know. And if you put in the topic, like I want to talk about, I don't know, artificial intelligence, we'll find people available in real time to join you. So that's sort of what the interaction feels like. Thank you for asking that question.
How do you think about, and you had some of these companies on your slides, how do you think about competitive threats from, even Lunch Club if they decide to go more enterprise, or Donut, or any of those tools?
I'd probably say the best way to think about it is this. There are 3 enterprise platforms, large ones, and we think that artificial intelligence can provide a better solution than any single one of them can. So even if Microsoft were to do a tool, for example, if we're that neutral platform across multiple solutions, we think we can have that advantage there. And in terms of solutions like Donut, they really have very different markets. They give you random chat once in 2 weeks or something like that. And so that's not really a concern that I think we have. And we want to be like sort of native in this tool. So you're using whatever tools you use. You don't even know you're using Seren. And we're helping provide that sort of capability for serendipity focused, driven by artificial intelligence. That's sort of how we think about the landscape of competition.
Any other comments or questions, judges? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Yinka and judges. Was that a last comment, someone?
No, sorry, I just said nice job.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, great job, Yinka, and thank you, judges. Next team presenting is Roman Padan with Casa, a Wharton School and engineering alumni.
All right. Thank you very much. As you said, I'm Roman Padan. I'm founder and CEO of Casa Living. We are building a global accommodation brand that's transforming the way people live and travel in the $500 billion accommodation industry. The why now for Casa is probably pretty visceral for all of us, and it's related to Seren. It's because people and the world around us is becoming more flexible. You can feel it in work. We're working from home more. You can feel it in the office. 10 years ago, flexible office wasn't a thing, and now you can't turn around without seeing an office that's flexible. And living is also turning flexible. COVID has accelerated the trend for people seeking living in new cities for a prolonged period of time and experiencing a more flexible lifestyle that's less tethered by their office and their work. So Casa is building the global brand that fills the need for this growing flexibility. And our brand combines the comfort of a home and the convenience of a hotel. The way that we do this is by partnering with apartment buildings that have vacancy. Let's say 20 out of 200 apartments in a building might be vacant. We furnish those vacant units on behalf of the owner, and then we sell them to travelers who are traveling from anywhere between a few days and a few months. The owners of the buildings, who are typically really large institutions, love us because we deliver more income to their buildings while lowering their risk. Guests love us because we are the best of what Airbnb offers and what hotels offer. We offer a more reliable experience than you might get on Airbnb. You often love Airbnb for the best experiences in your travel, but sometimes it can be your worst experience, and we offer the reliability that certain trip types need. And you also get more space, a better price, and better locations than you might get in a hotel. We operate the units fully, so we're able to deliver that reliability by controlling the cleaning, by controlling the customer service, by controlling the furniture and everything that's in it. So guests know that they can trust Casa when they are traveling with us. So this is what makes us different. We have built a technology stack that allows us to provide really distributed and scalable operations that deliver double the margins that a typical hotel operator would deliver, and also allows us to operate properties that are, without the technology, nearly impossible to operate because they're at very low density in cities or in very unique formats. And that helps us to build a supply side network effect that grows in power as we expand and scale. We also deliver better revenue for owners because travelers are increasingly in need of full kitchens, in-unit washer and dryers, and significantly more space than hotels. And so in the pandemic, we delivered 2.3 times the revenue per room than traditional hotels were delivering. So massive outperformance in the last 18 months. The company is made up of amazing leaders and team members. And at the end of the day, that's really what helps us to deliver 5 out of 5 star stays to our guests at scale. And we've been really fortunate to hire incredibly talented people across different disciplines, whether it be operations, real estate, hospitality, technology. We've got lots of Penn, Stanford, and Berkeley representation, which is exciting to see, and folks from great companies like Apollo Global, Bain, Uber, Zillow, and Airbnb on our team. We're always hiring, so if you have a role that you see on our website, please let us know you're interested. As a conclusion, we are delivering on the brand that allows people to travel and live flexibly. That's a need that's grown in intensity over the last year and a half. We've grown to operate in 40 cities, more than 40 cities, more than 60 properties, and we're now generating over $50 million in run rate GMV. Our metrics have grown 100% year on year across the board for the last 5 years. And in the last year, when a lot of hospitality companies met their demise, we actually accelerated our growth because the need for our product has increased. And we're excited to hopefully host you into the future across our 60 properties and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman. All right, we're going to move on to judges Q&A. If you can stop sharing your screen, Roman. Thank you. And we'll start with John.
Very impressive. How is it different than Sonder?
Great question. So we're different from Sonder in a few ways. One, we typically don't sign leases. We sign leases for 10 years that require us to have a long-term liability and short-term revenue. We sign more aligned contracts that share revenue with the owners. The second difference is we operate a very different type of unit. So we operate much more distributed inventory. We're in more cities. Our average number of units per building is much, much smaller. We're about 20 units per building. And it's extremely difficult to operate at lower density. The technology on the operations side that we've built allows us to do so. And the last point, which is enabled by the first two, is that we are focused on partnering with the largest real estate owners in the world. Owners like Starwood Capital, Amley Residential, who own 20,000+ apartments across their portfolio. And they need us to be very flexible in how we operate in order for us to be their partner of choice. And they also want upside, so they want the revenue share.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, were you about to go, Sheila?
Go for it.
Thanks so much, Roman. That was great. Great presentation. In terms of the revenue take rate, what does Casa take versus the GMV, and how do you split it across the board?
Great question. So it depends on our partnership with the owners, but it's anywhere between 10 and 20%, and the rest goes to the owners. So we're about in line with how much Marriott takes or how much Expedia and Booking.com take. A little bit lower to start because we are building the supply side of the marketplace.
Can you talk a little bit about how you see the target customer relative to maybe the Marriott customer as you had on that slide, or the Airbnb customer, or Sonder, to John's question? Like, who are you targeting for people staying in the units?
Yeah, so I think about it as a jobs to be done kind of question. So it might be the same traveler who has stayed in a Marriott who might stay with Casa, but it might be a different trip. The trip is a longer trip, might have more people that are staying with you in a trip. An average hotel stay is 1.2, 1.5 days. Our average length of stay is 7 days. Average hotel has 1 to 2 people in it. We have 3 or more on average in our units. So if you're traveling and you're traveling for longer, you might want a kitchen and living room. You want a better price and more reliability than Airbnb. But you might also stay in a Marriott if it's a 1 to 2 night stay. I would say relative to Airbnb, if the trip purpose is one that you can't get wrong, so it's a business trip or it's a family vacation you take once a year, you're going to use us as the reliable choice.
Got it. That's helpful. I have a follow-up question unless someone else wants to jump in. Can you talk about, so 40 cities is impressive. And I used to work at Open Door, so I know how difficult it is to open a city. Yep. Can you talk a little bit about what it takes in terms of ops on the ground? Are you licensing out a lot of like the cleaning, et cetera, or are these things in-house? Like, what does your model look like on a city per city basis?
Yeah, that's part of the special sauce, is to be able to open cities with low overhead and a low density and still deliver good contribution margins at those cities. We are in about 43 cities. We opened 2 more actually last week. The on the ground labor is mostly contracted out, is partially contracted out or full time, depending on if it's maintenance or housekeeping. Or housekeeping is contracted out. Our maintenance is full time, but no matter which you are on the Casa platform. So housekeepers work through our system to do the cleaning checklist that make sure that we have good QA, and they get feedback from guests immediately sent to them after a guest checks in. And maintenance folks are also plugged into our system. The on the ground labor that's needed is really on those 2 departments. And if we have a big enough market, we might have a general manager overseeing it, but otherwise we'll have a regional person who oversees the operations.
Got it. Super helpful.
And what are you seeing in terms of overall repeat loyalty? Are people coming back more and more and traveling into different locations still within Casa?
Yeah, our average scores in terms of NPS and average review scores are significantly better than hotels. It's in the high 50s, low 60s on the NPS side, when hotels are in the low 20s to 30s. And our average review scores are among the highest on Airbnb. Our repeat rate, it depends on cohorts, but customers who have stayed with us in the last year are likely to repeat this year. 20% of our customers this year are repeat, but people take only 2 trips a year. So for a hotel world, that's a relatively high repeat rate. It deeply depends on if you're traveling to a destination often, or if we have locations and destinations that you are traveling to, which is why that supply side scale in cities really matter.
Do people primarily find you through Airbnb today, or how are they finding you?
Yeah, we had almost no traffic through our website when we started the business. We didn't actually have a website for a year and a half. Then we had 5% go through our website, then 10%. Pre-pandemic, that was the figure. Now it's 30% through Casa.com. It's increasingly the plurality of our demand. So we've tripled it over the last 18 months. It's mainly repeat business. We don't spend much on online marketing. And I think we spent something like $20,000 to $30,000 across the whole portfolio last month on marketing. So most is coming from repeat guests. The remainder are across Expedia, Airbnb, Booking.com, and other third-party sources.
Is the plan over time to invest in your own properties as kind of the first destination, or are you planning to continue distribution through those other sites?
So we want to grow loyal customers who see Casa as their first stop for travel anywhere in the world. And that will come through, that success of that will come through with more and more customers using Casa.com. But insofar as other channels are good sources of customers, we'll continue to pursue them as well. And if your question was also related to potentially buying buildings for Casa, ultimately our goal as a business on the business side is to deliver more income for owners and lower their risk. And if partners of ours want to purchase buildings on our behalf with us as their partner, then we'd pursue that. As an operating business, that's owning real estate is not in our mission, but we may partner with someone to do it.
Thank you so much. We're out of
That
time.
makes sense.
Thank you, Roman. Thank you, judges.
Thank you.
Next up, we have actually Kara from Stanford, who's going to introduce the next two teams.
All right, thanks, Adiba. Again, hi everyone, I'm Kara Hanlon. I'm acting co-director of Alumni Relations for the Stanford GSB. And I am really excited to introduce this next team. I know some of you on here can relate. Dating is tough, but dating during a global pandemic, ooh, it's a doozy. So enter Schmooze Dating, our next team we're going to hear from, founded by Vidya Madhavan from the MBA class of 21.
Hi, everyone. This is Vidya, as Kara mentioned, and I'm the founder of Schmooze. Schmooze is a meme-based dating app. Well, yet another dating app. I think that's what many of you are wondering here. Well, that's something very different about Schmooze. If you look at the history of dating companies, every dating company has always been about a profile and a photo. This is as true for Match.com back in the day as it is for Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge right now. Now, that is what Schmooze is changing and fundamentally challenging at the core of it. Using memes, we are able to really get to the depth of the user, like understand things like, oh, does someone like religion? Do they like drugs? Do they like art, physics, so on and so forth. And while doing that, we are making the entire process stress-free and a lot more fun and enjoyable for everyone. So let me share my screen right now, and I'll take you through what Schmooze is. Currently, we are targeted at Gen Zs. So I'm going to take the leap and present Schmooze in a very Gen Z way.
Storytime, a couple of Stanford students were really hitting it off over memes, and they actually started dating, and now they created their own dating app. They wanted everyone to find a date to laugh with. So instead of swiping on people, you're swiping on memes. Just like Tinder, you swipe left on the memes you don't like and swipe right on the ones that you do. Once you've swiped on enough memes, their high-tech algorithm will actually pair you with someone who matches your sense of humor. And from there, you can either schmooze or snooze. So if you're
Okay, so this is how the app works. And when I first came up with the idea for Schmooze, I felt, let me just, try out, launch a beta, see if there is excitement before making any tall claims. So we launched a beta at Stanford and got a lot of requests from the users saying, oh, my friend at Berkeley wants to use this, or my friend at some other school wants to use this. So we quickly opened it up. And over the next 10 weeks, we had about 10,000 users flocking onto Schmooze. This happened largely through word of mouth. People shared about Schmooze on GroupMe, on Reddit. Many of them actually created TikTok about this cool new dating app and onboarding their friends onto it. So that's how we spread. And over the next 10 weeks, we had users swipe over 3 million memes. Of course, today the numbers are very different. We have almost doubled and we are at over 20,000 users. Users have swiped over 8 million memes and swiping their way to love. So let me share something more for you guys, because consumer products tend to be a fad and can come as an exciting idea and really die out. But what we sought off to try out at Schmooze was actually connect people based on something deeper and based on something more fun. So here are two people who've met on Schmooze, who started dating and who have now moved in together. So let's listen from one of them.
And just talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And what was going to be like hour or so to hang out before lunch turned into like a 6-hour just constant hiking, talking date, right? And at the end of it, he asked me, he's like, will you be my girlfriend? And I was like, yes, of course, I will do that. That sounds incredible, right? I've met his friends and his family, and he's met my friends and my family. And I've hit it off with his friends because we even have a similar level of humor, right? And it's amazing. We just went on an app to say, like, I need to meet people in my area and maybe look at funny pictures. And I ended up meeting like a person I could actually see myself marrying, which is really awesome.
Okay, So of course, I can't get videos of hundreds of other people who are hitting off on Schmooze, and that's why we have data. So couples on an average exchange over 16 messages on Schmooze, which is over 4 to 5 times that of Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. And this happens largely because of something deeper that people are connecting off of. For example, there was another user here at Stanford who really hit it off with this girl because they connected based on dark humor. And if you're meeting on other apps, you go on your first date, reveal your true self, like that person who likes dark humor, and that date doesn't go anywhere. So that's what is really happening in Schmooze. And something even more exciting is people come for the dates, but stay for the memes. What I mean by this is people think they're coming because they want to meet interesting people, but then the memes are so awesome. And of course, with time, we really understand the deeper aspects of your meme interests and show you, curate memes which are more tuned to your taste. And that means that even after people have matched, gone out on dates, they continue to open Schmooze on a daily basis just to come and swipe memes. And this has helped us solve the problem of positive churn that dating apps typically have. And unlike Hinge, we are not designed to be deleted. So that's a little bit about Schmooze, and we are rapidly growing at this point. So if you know anyone who can be meme officers or folks excited in helping growing Schmooze, please let us know. That's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that great introduction to Schmooze. I'm going to have Will kick us off with the feedback and questions.
Thank you so much. That was great presentation. Awesome use of storytelling too, just the videos and overall, but with the combination of data too, I thought was like a just great job there. And it's clear that you're hitting something just based on sort of like what users are saying and the data. How do you defend it, and like how do you make sure that this doesn't pop up on Hinge or Tinder? And if it does, like, or if they get really into it, like, is there the right partnership there?
Sure. So I think there are like 2 questions to unpack here. One is, of course, the mode kind of a question, and the other is a larger product or a company decision. Because at the core of Schmooze, as I said, we are not about photos, we are not about profile. It is something deeper, which we analyze. And after that, if you want to hit it off, like, if you want to match, there is Schmooze or Snooze, and you can go on. So, if let's say a Tinder or a Bumble has to take this off, they have to fundamentally change the concept of their product and their company. That's one. The second is in terms of typically, let's say tomorrow someone decides to just copy Schmooze the way it is. We are today sitting at over 8 million memes swiped and have learned a great deal about many users. Just to give an example, one of our teammates, the tags that Schmooze produced for him was that he likes religion, drugs, art, and news. I wish you all knew him, because if someone knows him, they would feel that this is almost like bearing his soul to Schmooze. And that is something we learn with time. And anyone who wants to copy us, even today, we've kind of built that sense of intelligence, which is part of any machine learning model and which takes some amount of time. So that's the basic moat of where Schmooze is. It's like, anyone can try to copy TikTok today, but they will not be at the same level of algorithmic superiority where TikTok is at this point.
Did you say religion, drugs, art, and what was the last thing?
News.
That sounds like a fascinating person, I have to say. It sounds like you've really found a good kind of starting audience for Schmooze. How do you think about expansion beyond that? Like, what are the next set of segments that you'll be targeting with the app?
Yeah, sure. I think a great question, and something that we're working on at the point. So few things that we've observed, digging deeper into data, our retention cohorts tell us that when 2 people match within a 20-mile radius, their odds of staying on Schmooze goes up like 2.5 times. And very admittedly so, right? It's a dating app, so you want to meet people who are closer to you. And doubling down on that, our immediate step is taking a location-wise expansion strategy. We've narrowed down on a few areas, letting go of many others, saying like New York, Boston, Philly, LA. These are going to be pockets that we are targeting right now. And we've already started this, like There are power users from many different schools in these areas on Schmooze. So we are trying to recruit these guys to be our ambassadors, because they anyway spend like half an hour every day on Schmooze, and we can't get better ambassadors than these guys. So yeah, that's one part. But to answer your question, like 3 levers, some of them are product hacks. Something that we are launching in the next 10 days is invite your crush and see what your humor compatibility is. Like send anonymous text to your crush and see if you match with them on Schmooze. So product hacks like this. The second is traditional organic content-based growth, which is on TikTok, like create more content, on IG, create more organic content, tell these stories, surface them to everyone else. And the third is around offline growth levers. Like we are in New York City in particular, over the next 1 month, we have tons of pop-ups planned outside larger schools, where we are just, spin the wheel, like download Schmooze, get a chance to spin the wheel. Oh, if you like it, you get the Schmooze merch. So something like that. But yeah, these are the 3 levers. I personally don't like ads, so we are not going down that line.
I love that last one. What a creative idea.
Thank you.
Just very, very quickly, does shared humor equal compatibility?
So it's a very interesting question, and you'll be surprised to know that there are some professors at Stanford who have actually done research on this. Even deeper down, they have done research on memes as an indicator of compatibility. So I'll talk about memes in this case. So Professor of Psychology has one of her research papers says both memes are an indicator of how well do you begin a relationship and how do you sustain a relationship.
And just really quick, what was the revenue model for it?
Yeah, so right now we are not revenue generating. Our idea is to get to a critical mass, after which we would open up some of the revenue generating levers. But the idea is to do 2 things. One is, of course, subscription, like typical dating apps. And the second is an ad-based revenue model. The good news about Schmooze is we are meme-based, and any ad that would ever come on Schmooze is going to be meme-based ad. And we know that meme-based ads are fundamentally funny, right? So yeah, like Mike Bloomberg spent about $20 million running meme-based ad campaigns. Even brands like Gucci and Prada have now gotten into meme-based marketing. So marrying the fact that yes, A, users like meme-based ads, and B, even brands are moving into meme-based marketing to kind of open up the ad-based revenue model.
Great, thanks. We are at time. Thank you so much, Vidya. While we're out of time, maybe you can tell us in the chat if including Bernie in your memes helps increase your chances of finding love. I think people would love to hear that. And finally, we're down to our very last pitch team. Very excited to introduce Santi Pezzoni, who is from the Berkeley Haas MBA class of 21 with digiventures.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. We are digiventures, and we'll tell you how we enable Latin financial institutions to modernize their customer acquisition. We enable incumbent and challenger FIs to reach all customers in Latin America. Our SaaS platform helps them to modernize their account opening and product sales through a 100% digital process. We have more than 50 financial institutions working with us in both South America and Mexico, and we are reaching a 3x year-over-year growth in ARR, resulting in a $1 million by the end of the year. And this is supported by very strong metrics, such as a 76% gross margin, an 8% churn rate, and 120 NDR, meaning that clients that work with us, they want to stay with us and they grow with us. But what is the problem that we are actually solving here? If you see what is going on in the market right now, in Latin America, financial institutions reach adequately only 40% of the total population, meaning that there are more than 300 million people that have limited access to financial services. But when you see what is going on with the financial institutions, the 17K financial institutions working in the market, well, different segments face different challenges. For instance, in the case of banks, they have really high customer acquisition costs, which results in very high interest rates. And also, they lack data for the bottom of the pyramid. If you go to non-banks financial institutions, well, they have really old legacy technology, resulting in a high use of branches to acquire customers, and thus they have a difficult to scale. Whereas challengers, well, they're still small regarding the size of the market. Our SaaS solution has a horizontal approach, focusing on digital distribution. What we're trying to do is helping the different segments to overcome the status quo and leave paper-based processes to go to a fully digital process. So there is exactly what our toolkit, our platform provides. It's a toolkit to digitize the customer acquisition journey, which results in a white label front end, an omni-channel middle end, supported by a case management tool, and a back end that has open banking integrations. We are disrupting the market and leading the growth to go to a $50 billion market by 2030. But because we are enabling embedded finance and we ultimately accomplishing financial inclusion in the region. We have the right team to execute this mission because together we have more than 25 years in the banking and tech industries, a stellar board of advisors, and also a 30 people team that has been building solutions for the past 3 years for financial institutions. We are seeking growth capital, and why is now the moment? Well, basically by two things. Number one is that we're facing a demand shock. Due to the COVID pandemic, this digitizing trend has been accelerated. Now, due to the economic growth, incumbent institutions saying, hey, I need to get on this train right now. And we also have hacked the growth. We are in 6 different countries and we have a very specific value proposition for all our customer segments. That's why what we need is the growth capital to enter the Brazilian market and triple our growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Santi. Sheila, can you kick off the feedback or questions you might have?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for that, Santi. I want to make sure that I understand the product really clearly. So is what you're building a white label app that both automates the onboarding process, but then also connects all of the apps leveraged from a customer lifecycle perspective? Because you had like Zendesk, et cetera, on there. Is that the right way to think about it?
So actually that slide, what at the end of the day tries to explain is that if you see this vision of the industry stack, you see that you have different processes that a financial institution needs to solve. Challengers like Nubank, for instance, the Brazilian startup, what that is like, hey, I created a solution for everything. So it's a vertical approach. What we do is that we do like Zendesk. We say, hey, we're trying to solve specific processes for everyone in the market, incumbent and challengers.
So why have these organizations not built some of this in-house? Are they lacking access to the resources to build?
This is a very good question. If you see what is going on actually in the market, you got the large banks, the only ones that have actually the resources, and at the end of the day, they know how, because they can get the right people to build the in-house solutions. If you see all the middle size and the smaller size, which is basically 95% of all the financial institutions in Latin America, they simply lack the resources, the know-how, the time to go to the market to build those solutions.
Thank you. Very helpful.
That 120% retention metric is really impressive. What are some of the things you're hearing from customers as they're renewing? Like what's really sticking with them?
Fantastic question. So it's a couple of things. For instance, is that number one, what happens is that in a lot of times we actually help them to go through this digital transformation. So before they work with us, they acquire like 1% of their customers through online channels. And with us, the number is maybe 50%, 80% of the total customer base comes through us, number one. Second, basically we allow them to acquire customers at 1/3 of the customer acquisition costs they used to have before. And third is that we also create new solutions for them. A lot of players actually, they start doing, for instance, account opening with us, and they create new products because of us. Like for instance, a digital insurance or a digital loan.
Got it.
What do default rates look like? You know, it's a great cause to be democratizing this underbanked and unbanked, but at the end of the day, how does it roll out in terms of liabilities here?
Well, that is a very good question. And the thing is that at the end of the day, you have different players that work in different segments of the population pyramid and the income pyramid, if you want. And usually what happens is that big banks, they simply lack data to go to the bottom of the pyramid. So actually they don't go there. What happens is that you have specific financial institutions, mostly credit unions, for instance, a lot of times it's retailers, that they know how to do business with those people. And what we are doing is we are enabling them the technology to do that. Best example is to give to a retail store that sells trainers, sneakers, to say, hey, I can actually like score you online and I can give you a loan to buy these sneakers.
Very helpful. What we did at my firm, we did an investment in something similar called Opportune, which is now a publicly traded company, which was trying to bring credit to the Latin American community in the US. And it's a great business. So I see the wisdom here.
Any other questions or comments from our judges?
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank
Nice
you so
job.
much, Santi. And I'm about to hand things over to Irina to close out the program and explain the breakout rooms. But before I do that, I just wanted to say one more huge thank you, especially to the whole team at Wharton. There is an enormous team behind the scenes here that have been looking out for all of us, keeping time, making sure everything's been working smoothly. So thank you to all of you. And Irina, I'll let you close things out.
Hey, thank you, Kara, and thank you all for attending the virtual B-School Disrupt. We'd also like to give a special thank you to our judges who are so busy and they carved out time for all of you and for our venture team. So thank you to John Auerbach, Sheila Vashi, and Will Bumpus. Also for your invaluable insight and feedback to the teams. Thank you. Thank you too to the participating teams from Wharton, Berkeley Haas, and Stanford GSB. We appreciate you pulling together your communities to join us today. And of course, we'd like to acknowledge the venture teams. Thank you for sharing your ideas with us. Well done. As a reminder, we invite you to join us for the virtual networking portion of the event, which will be hosted here in the Zoom breakout room. So during this time, you'll be able to network with the venture teams and also with fellow alumni. So in just a moment, you'll see a slide with directions on how to access the breakout rooms. Each team will moderate its own breakout room, each venture team, and you can select the room or rooms you'd like to join. So please feel free to move around. We hope you'll take this opportunity to ask questions and learn more about the ventures who presented today. If you're unable to stay and you are interested in connecting with the teams, you can find the team contact information in the bio sheet that was linked in your reminder email. And this sheet can also be found in the follow-up email that you'll all receive after this event. So again, on behalf of Stanford GSB, Berkeley Haas, and Venture Lab, thank you again for joining B-School Disrupt today. And we look forward to seeing you again next year.